I am presenting uh, the subject as ecological farming of fruits and vegetables for nutrition, health, and environmental benefits. I'll go through some of the slides why I made these changes. You'll appreciate why I made these changes. I think since morning, all the three panelists who have made a beautiful presentation, particularly Dr. Ganesh Murthy, Dr. Balakrishna, and also Srinivas Rao. They are all supportive of my subject, what I'm going to speak, particularly Dr. Ganesh Murthy and Dr. Balakrishna. And also, um, yesterday, many panelists, exclusively, particularly the doctors and the nutritionists, they have educated us in terms of the nutritional and health benefits of consuming fruits and vegetables. And also they have given a brief account of the contents of various nutrients in different fruits and vegetables. Yes, my context in this subject is, yes, eating fruits and vegetables are good for health and also for nutrition. But my question is, in under what environment, what conditions these fruits and vegetables are being grown, what condition they have been preserved, what condition they have been uh, served. That is more important than, rather it is equally important than consuming different fruits and vegetables. Uh, it is not just eating different fruits and vegetables, but consuming the quality vegetables under which environment they've been grown. That is most important. I will be presenting the subject, that is my subject of presentation, that is the what is the good environment for production of fruits and vegetables, and what is the conditions so that the fruits and vegetables, they can, through their good metabolic process, they express their characters in terms of nutrients. And in addition to that, farming is not just for ourselves, farming is also for the environment. It's not just farming is only restricted to benefit of the man, benefit of the mankind. It is for the benefit of the entire universe. Because 70% of our agriculture land is under farming. I mean, our total land is under farming. So whatever the activities which are happening in farming, it directly and indirectly reflect our environment also. So the health of the farming, or the eating fruits and vegetables, or farming fruits and vegetables by good agriculture practices, is not for the health of human beings alone, for the health of the entire um, life, life in the agriculture ecosystem. And that is the subject which I am presenting. And what how this um, good agriculture practices or the good farming system is linked to the nature through various biological process. Are you seeing my slides? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, yeah, to introduce this subject, particularly uh, the subject which I mentioned, that is ecological farming. Um, all over the world, throughout the world, uh, various institutions, including UN institutions, including FAO, they have they are considering the ecological farming is, is the next bold feature of sustainable agriculture. So, what is the ecological farming? You all know what is organic farming. It is the system which helps or which generates the safe food without contaminating soil, water, and climate with um, chemical inputs and genetically modified organisms or the plants. And this ecological farming has the same objective. It has similar objectives, but it has got some more high-end objectives. What are these high-end objectives? These high-end objectives are providing ecological services to the farming system. These valuable services not only providing services to the uh, farming system, but also derive some functional benefits from the uh, nature. This is through what? By building a symbiotic relationship, the mutual relationships in organism, that is maybe plants, microorganisms, insects, butterflies, animals, including man, building that symbiotic mutual relationship uh, in organisms and also between themselves. It's not just in them, it is between them and between them and the nature. That is most important. It's not just farming for you alone, farming for the environment, which consists of various forms of life. That is more important. And this is through various biological process, biochemical process. These processes are increasing the biodiversity. The diversity of your farm, diversity of your nature surrounding the farm is more important than what you grow alone in the farm. And then improving the soil organic carbon. That is life of farming. Soil organic carbon is the life of the agriculture. If the organic carbon content is good and your soil is healthy and more productive, and then through series of soil biological activity, I think most of the scientists they know what are the soil biological activity. It contains innumerable microbes which involved in biochemical activities which solubilize, sometimes they stabilize, sometimes they relocate the nutrients to the plants. And then Dr. Bhakrishna was also mentioning about the wastage of organic biomass that is to be recycled. So these biological process, I think, what is important in the present context of agriculture system is provide production of food with climate resilient practices. That is most important. So to get into a little detail about the uh, little detail about this, what are these practices, particularly um, one second. So the most there are this ecological farming practices has got certain the principles and the process and the practices. I'm going through few of these principles and the practices which enable us to take to a level where the farmer and the farming enthusiasts, including scientific community, can derive some benefit out of this information. The first and the foremost is the diverse agriculture production system. Ecological farming is not just monocropping. It is the not farming crop alone. It is the diverse agriculture production. Diversity not just in the crop, diversity from the local seeds and diversity even in the food. When you grow diversified food, your plate, your food is also diverse. And this diversity should go through the entire agriculture ecosystem. It's not just, okay, I'm going different varieties of crop. No, it is the diversity of the entire ecosystem should be diversified. Then only the entire life forms of life, including man, gets the benefit. Through this is how one is the most important practice is protecting your natural habitat. What is natural habitat? Your farm, all the farms will be having some boundaries. Earlier, we used to have riparian zones all along our farms. Maybe these zones may be streams, maybe vegetation or edges, and they are the buffer zones of most of our wild species and also some predators. Also, they are the zones which conserve water, conserve our soil. But we are losing all these protective zones around our farms. Imagine the go some sand mining or some stone mining around farm. What is the situation? What is the ecosystem there? What amount of your efforts in the farm is nullified? So next is the crop diversity. Diversification with respect to even the at the generic and also at the species level. Diversification of the crop, not necessarily growing different varieties of food crop. Diversification based on your agroclimatic conditions, going the food forestry crops. It's not just only for food crops, also along with this various forestry crops through mixed cropping, intercropping, relay cropping in a layered cropping system, multi-layered cropping system. That is most important because you will be harnessing the nutrients in the soil from the soil and also the various natural elements, including light or air or water. Ecological farming is not stopped there. It is also encouraging the farm diversification. All the complementary activities, maybe animal rearing, fish rearing, even including sericulture, all this including mushroom cultivations, medicinal ornamental plants cultivation, all this is the part of farm diversification. They should, then only this farming will become economical and sustainable. So if you follow these activities, your agro ecosystem will become sustainable and productivity will be continuous. Coming to the next principle, that is optimizing production and productivity. What is optimizing production? All our scientific community, agriculture departments, horticulture departments, all the extension officers, we all mentioning about whenever we go to no, what yield is we are getting is not good enough. You have to go for a higher yield. No, ecological farming doesn't support higher yield at the cost of and at any cost or by any means. No, it is supporting the principle of ecological farming is optimizing production and productivity through sustainable use of natural resources. That the use of natural resources should be sustainable. It should be for a continuous period of time, not for 1 or 2 years, like cultivating our ginger or turmeric. The Kerala farmers are coming and cultivating in 2-3 years. They are exploit the soil conditions. They'll go away from the scene. That is not farming at all. It is not sustainable farming. Ecological farming is optimizing your production without wasting the food also. That is also important. It's not just whatever you produce. Tomato farmers, they produce and bring it and put it on the road. What is the use of producing more? It should be produced, you should produce the quality one, and it should be the production of your productivity should be optimum to the demand. It's not just overproduction. So this is the principle of ecological farming. Then how? There are areas where the yields are very low. For example, if you go to northern Karnataka or some low rainfall areas, the yields are very low, especially your cereals, maybe pulses, the yields are very low. That because not only there is no moisture conservation activity, there is no vegetation there. There is no biomass conservation there. The microbial activity is almost zero there. That is the reason the yields are low. So in such conditions where the yields are low, improving the productivity is through improving the diversity. You can see in the left-hand side of your slide here, this is not actually in the Western Ghats. This is one of the farm in the farmer's field. where the crop diversity, food forestry models, this is, and whatever the biomass falling is, that is acting as a recycling as the nutrients for the plants. So he has grown food, he has grown chiku, he has grown guava, he has grown various forest species. But at the end of the day, maybe end of 4 years, 10 years or 15 years, what is the benefit of to the nature and benefit to the farmer? That is most important. Or that doesn't mean that you should not have a short-term cows. You can also grow short-term cows in between. That is the idea of ecological farming. Then the moisture conservation and nutrient cycle will happen when the farm is ecologically stabilized. And also you can grow in areas where the food is scarce or the nutrients are, the nutrient, the crop, what you are growing is not properly supplementing the nutrient requirement of the region or the community, then you can introduce some of the crops which are more relevant to the tree. They come up with your jungle jalebi. The jungle jalebi is the one which is highest nutrient. It doesn't require new water. There are so many cultivars of jungle jalebi. Unfortunately, we are not concentrating. In this picture, you can see one species called one crop, one shrub called is a berry. It is called lily pilly. It's been grown. It's been considered as a superfood in Australia, and it can come up very nicely in any of our tropical and subtropical regions. So we can introduce this kind of nutritionally relevant crops and increase the food production. We follow, suppose we follow the principle of ecological farming, then automatically the farmer's livelihood and human health will be increased. At the same time, you can optimize the production for a continuous period of time. Yeah, coming to the management of soil health and nutrition, I think Dr. Ganesh Murthy has elaborately discussed this issue, how we should manage the soil, how soil health is linked to our human health also. I'm going one step higher. It's not only the human health. Soil health is linked to the entire ecosystem, entire environment. If soil is bad, I think in universities, the student who got least marks, he used to go for in our batch they used to go for science. I think the university should give a seat for consider the science as the topmost subject in agriculture education system. Soil is the one. Soil is the element or that component which the health of that component, it depends upon your agricultural productivity. So how do you maintain the health and nutrition? It is through a series of biochemical processes, and on these processes differ from soil physical and chemical properties. This can be maintained by improving the again the diversity of crops by polyculture. The polyculture means growing different crops in the same piece of land, which absorb different nutrients. All the plant doesn't require all the nutrients. So it is the way of giving and taking. And so not only they survive under this environment better, but their nutrient need also taken care of under this environment. And then bringing back the organic sources, all the organic sources, maybe your compost, your biomass, then the organic waste of your vegetables or fruits or whatever, they need to be channelized to bring it back through a process of conversion into different products, maybe like vermicompost or then Panchagavya, Ganajivamrita, or whatever is required. They contain these Ganajivamrita and Jivamrita. Probably they contain all the microbes, which even in when I was working in the biocenter itself, I have analyzed the the contents of these bioproducts, they contain all the microbes which are relevant for our agriculture productivity. So these can be with local knowledge, we can increase the soil biological activity by production and incorporation of this soil. Most of the slides, dear participants and panelists, 99% of the slides what I'm showing is from our institution, from our farm and our neighboring farms where the farmers are practicing ecological farm. Then the other biology, very important, of course, you got microbes which stabilizes, synthesize, then fix the nitrogen, then also they may translocate the nutrients from non-available farm to available from farm. I think this is not my subject, but there are, but this is the biochemical process which is happening there. But there is another important process which the atmosphere itself contains the 70 to 80%, 70% of nitrogen. Why we are not, why we are putting so much of urea to the soil when we are not, because we are not able to fix the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen in the soils. There are, so we have studied, everyone has studied in the, right from the college days to, we have read so much of it, but it is the practice is not happening in the farmers field. So what we need is, I'm coming next to that, and what we need is the policy measures from the government and the institutions to promote this kind of farming system. So if the soil fertility is not with chemicals, the soil fertility can be managed to any level, to any extent, or to grow any type of crops without chemicals if you follow this biochemical process and enhance the microbial activity in the soil and derive the functions, beneficial functions from the nature itself. The soil, every soil has got some nutrients. Only thing is they are not available in a ready form to the plants, but your the farmers or the one who is interested to grow crops, his work is to make it available to the plants. That is actually the principle of ecological farming. Next is the management of pests and diseases. It is again linked to the diversity. It's not just managing the monocrop of capsicum or tomato, spray whatever you available in the market, and you'll be killing all the microbes, you're killing all the predators, you're killing all the antagonists and the natural enemies, then your soil will become dead, your ecosystem will become dead. So here the main principle is through a practice of stimulating the soil microflora. Soil microflora can be stimulated by increasing the organic carbon content, increasing the moisture holding capacity, and improving the nutritional aspect for the microbes. What is the nutrition? For the microbes, the bread and butter, what we call, or the breakfast or the lunch, is the organic carbon content. By improving the organic carbon content of the soil and improving little moisture conservation measures, you can really improve the soil microbial activity. The improvement of soil microbial activity will build the immune system in the soil. So most of our soil-borne diseases can be prevented. What we are suggesting is, okay, apply trichoderma, apply pseudomonas, apply Turan disease. It is all there in the soil. Only thing is, we have killed those soils. Instead of that, okay, in the initial stages, you may be recommending to apply few of these bio inputs, but in a long term, you have to promote your soil to become stabilized, to produce its own or multiply its own soil microorganisms. Then the diversified cropping system with the trap and insect repellent crop. This is most important. The diversified cropping system with Tagetes, marigold, or some of the other, even fennel, they really attract. Some of the crops will attract and some of the crops will repel the insects and pests. This is the system which you need to build. It is not a theory, it is practically possible. Then ultimately, if it is not possible through any means, and also along with as a complementary means, you can also use biological control measures. What are these biological control measures? Like pheromone traps, sticky traps, and then some of the botanicals also. Very easy to manage even sucking insects by spraying your neem seeds crushed in cow urine and so soak for 78 days, then take the decoction and along with the local garlic paste, you can control most of your sucking insect. Even the turmeric in uh, uh, local cow milk, turmeric boiled in local cow milk, it controls most of the sucking insects. So these are all the things which we need to promote in the farmers and educate the farmers on the subjects. Then,
Sir,
yeah,
Dr. Ramkrishna, your time
okay,
is
okay.
over. Please
So, yeah, then
finish it in another 5 minutes.
yeah, 5 minutes and the climate resilient food production. This is more important as Dr. Balakrishna is also mentioning about building a resilient farming system because the agriculture is suffering because of the most of our climate change, erratic climate. So diverse food sources. Dr. Balakrishna was mentioning about the urban farming. So we need to have a buffer stock of food. So we need to promote urban farming, building community seed banks to protect our local seeds and also protecting our local knowledge. Then enabling the farmers and farming communities. How do you enable the farmers and farming through support the policies for a diversity? What we are giving subsidies in the government schemes is okay, promoting mango, promoting banana, planting potato or tomato. But there is no schemes, even in 35 years of my experience, I try to introduce some of the schemes which support multiple crops in the farmer's field. It is not possible. So our policy should change. Our policy, okay, if a farmer has got multiple crops, multiple activities, that farmer should be supported. That is maybe agroforestry with legumes or cereals, intercrops. So it's a departmental approach should go, agency approach should go, sectoral approach should not help, will not help the farmers. And also scaling up the farmers market, this also helps in thing. Then food sovereignty, this is again a little political. It is food sovereignty is not through, it is basically making everyone making available with food. You should not go with hunger. That is the food sovereignty. But food sovereignty can be achieved by protecting the local knowledge, protecting the local farmers with the local activities, and rejecting the privatization of the local resources. Local resources, I think this is a very debatable subject, and also again reshaping and strengthening local and regional markets. That helps the farmers in achieving and the local community in getting the food sovereignty. So coming back to the subject of how these ecological farming practices improves the nitrogen, nutrition, and I think several speakers have enlightened the benefits of fruits and vegetables. But as the earlier speakers are telling, there is a awareness is growing, and the momentum is picking up all over the world, and not necessarily in India alone. Everywhere the um, awareness is going picking up for good, healthy, and nutritious food with environment friendly issues. So that is the reason why the alternate farming system, that is organic farming of fruits and vegetables, plays a very major role. And even in India also, naturally grown fruits and vegetables, the demand for naturally grown vegetables is increasing by 25% every year. And this gives us the information that there is good potential for growing crops by following ecological practices. How the nutrients and the energy is more in naturally grown food. The scientists will be aware that most of the plants they um, harvest, they take the plants, they take nutrients in the light spectrum of, the photosynthesis will happen in the light spectrum of 200 to 800 nanometers. But when the crops are naturally grown and their metabolic process is very high and they accumulate the nutrients and the phytochemicals which are potential in that particular crops. So I'm not, so to give you some of the figures, there is enormous research, which is undisputed research, and there is a lot of published literature that the superiority of organically grown without chemical, the fruits and vegetables, what the benefits. There is, I'm not going to read out all the figures, but there's in most of the published literature, the nutrient content, particularly vitamins, vitamin C content, and also phenolic contents and ascorbic acid content, all they have increased enormously in our Indian Institute of Vegetable Research in 2017 has conducted the several studies on cabbage, tomato, and cowpea, and the nutrients content and the protein content on these fruit crops have improved tremendously. Coming to the health benefits, only two slides left. It's not, health is not in the hands of a human being. It is in the hands of the nature. It is not, you can, if you have money, you can go to the hospital and take care of, take medicine. But if you are living atmosphere, drinking the air, what you are inhaling, and the water you are drinking, the food you are eating is not good. What an amount of the amount of the money you spend is irrelevant as far as the health is concerned. So ecological farming helps in promoting the health beyond the notion of individual health. It is not, it's not just an individual health. It promotes the holistic health of all the organisms in the environment, in the agriculture ecosystem. So coming, there are several toxicological studies. I think this information is available in most of the journals and books, that several studies conducted across the globe have indicated that the pesticide residues, fungicide residues, particularly the herbicide residue, very recently in America, Guardian has come out with various reports on how the herbicide residue has caused cancer in several human beings. So these are all some of the, I'm not going to elaborate this. And what are the environment benefits of this? This is most important aspect of ecological farming. Farming cannot be restricted to your own safety, your own food production, your own money. Farming should be, it should be a generous activity to improve the ecosystem, improve the environment. So this is possible through ecological farming by building the holistic and ethical methods, and building the bonding between the plants, animals, people, and other forms of life. And also this contamination of the soil should be avoided at any cost, because you have seen the bloom of the algal blooms in the water bodies
ಸರ್
because
ಅದು
of contamination.
ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪುರ ಸರ್ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್.
Conclusion. I'm going to conclude this, and I missed certain information, but because of this time, I'm concluding. India has great potential for cultivation of fruits and vegetables because of diversified climate, and also our climatic conditions, and also our native varieties. We have got a huge potential, But the limiting factors are the climate change. You have seen from the last several decades what is happening in the climate, the floods or droughts, and how this entire ecosystem is, agriculture ecosystem is affecting. From since yesterday, how the Tamil Nadu is suffering. So in this context, the ecological farming is goes a great way, long way in production of food uh, through climate resilient practices, that is through ecological farming practices. Here I would like to conclude by saying yesterday I was reading, um, um, I mean, I just reading a booklet of my grand kid, wherein A for, earlier we used to say A for, A means A for apple, B for bat or bus. But in that booklet, it has been mentioned A for all of us, B for believing. So I would like to conclude by saying that, okay, believing in ecological agriculture, non-chemical agriculture will definitely do a good to all of us. That is how the ecological farming practices and the principles will work. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.